Hey, what's going on, you guys? My name is the Raptor, and surprise, I guess. In case you missed it, we somehow made it to 10,000 subscribers last month, which is, you know, that's not nothing. And while usually I'd be okay with just giving out a thank you message, I wanted to do something a little bigger this time that emphasizes how long this channel has been around. So to celebrate this in a meaningful way, I'm gonna do something I told myself and you guys that I would never do. Make a top 10 favorite death battles list. However, that has a pretty big asterisk next to it. This video is not just covering the 10 episodes I personally feel are better made than all of the others. I don't think I could do that with a gun to my head. This is a completely personal list with the episodes that mean the most to me for whatever reason or simply represent what I love the most about the show as a whole. It's better to look at this as my 10-headed Mount Rushmore, and I'll also be going in no particular order other than from first to last released. Okay, I guess that is a particular order, but you know what I mean. So however you define it, feel free to share your favorite episodes in the comments. Just be prepared for people's lists to be different from yours. Yes, I still have to say that. Okay, without further ado, let's get started. Let's be real for a second. If Death Battle made an episode of Batman vs Spider-Man's quality today, it would be shunned forever. But for the time it came out, and given that this list specifically allows for things like nostalgia, I knew this one was gonna be in here. I've brought this up a couple times before, but the truth is, if this episode didn't exist, I would not be doing this. The fact that this random YouTube channel over 10 years ago was able to give me a new perspective on this hypothetical I loved so much was very surprising to me. I was so happy with it that I just started watching everything else. It was basically the best reaction I could have had to seeing my first death battle. And again, when this came out, it might have been the best one. It actually goes into a good amount of detail for the characters, and the animation choreography displays them pretty well. I can't dissect its quality too much for obvious reasons, but it's always going to be a huge part of my journey with the series, a part that I'll never be able to forget. Wolverine vs Raiden was probably my go-to answer for what my favorite death battle was many years ago. This one falls right in the heart of Torian's golden age of animation for this series. Tony vs Lex, Snake vs Fisher, Dante vs Bayonetta. I love all of these fights. But my excitement for this one was unmatched. It was the epitome of having a home team or side that I wanted to win so badly. I watched this episode with ferocity and enjoyed it so much that Wolverine dying didn't bother me nearly as much as I expected. The motion capture and sheer speed on display here is what I love from this era of 3D death battle animation, and while the matchup itself is fine, I think they treated the characters and the debate with care. It really proved to me that while death battle isn't perfect, they really try their hardest to understand these comparisons. You may not like their labeling all the time, but you can't say they don't dig deep. So yes, while it's heavily rooted in memory, it's also just a really good episode in my book, to this day and most certainly beyond. You know, I don't usually watch sports, but when I do, it's probably because it's a death battle. I look back on Balrog vs TJ Combo so fondly for some reason, which is weird because I wouldn't call either of these my fighting game of choice. There's definitely some nostalgia at play here for how often death battle used to use video games, but also all the unique ways they chose to present this one. Making the fight a boxing match that escalates into a death battle is so obvious but works so well, and talking about the logistics of boxing throughout a decent amount of the script makes it for me as an above and beyond examination. And the way they highlight their trials and tribulations too, this was the first episode where death battle really got me invested in characters I didn't give a shit about before watching. With all of that and the fluid, captivating 3D animation, I was simply wowed, and I have not forgotten what that felt like. Who knows, maybe this is an episode just for me, but I still love it and I'd be betraying myself to leave it out of this video. Now give us Little Mac vs Zippo already, please. I haven't brought up All Might vs Might Guy much on this channel before, probably because my appreciation for it has evolved quite a bit. When I first watched it, I enjoyed it, but I didn't really love it until much later. It goes to show how subject to change your favorites can be based on time or however many other things. This episode is just so solid, but also feels so satisfying to watch, and if the writing or characterization were off even a little bit, it wouldn't have worked out nearly as well. well. The analyses are just as story-driven as they are combat-driven, which you guys know I love, and the animation pulls no punches, showing off their best skills in the coolest ways. Technically speaking, it's very impressively made. This one massively delights the anime fan in me, and while I think sometimes anime episodes get hit with more scrutiny than others, I'm happy this is one most people like wholeheartedly. I never would have expected this for a finale, but I am so happy that it got that treatment. It makes me smile, and I give it a big thumbs up. Get it? Because that's what the characters do? Shut up, you get it. Some of you may remember the Kickstarter promotion videos that Death Battle asked me and a bunch of other people to make last year. And in my video, I said Goku Black vs Reverse Flash was my favorite Death Battle, but only because I had to pick one, okay? I picked it because my feelings towards it are arguably the most simple out of all of these episodes. It has that villain energy and personality that I am addicted to. And every aspect of it is infused with that energy. The writing, the track, what the characters do and say. It's the same reason why everyone loves Omni-Man vs Homelander. And I had such a personal connection to this matchup when it got announced. My investment and expectations were so high, and yet it still blew me away. It has so many individual scenes that are forever burned into my brain. I recommend watching that other video if you want more detail, but you guys already know I love this one. I've been singing its praises forever. It scratches an itch that barely any other Death Battle can, and while we may get more like it later, my appreciation for it will never change. Obviously, I love Death Battle when it's epic, but I also love it when it's silly, and Saitama vs Popeye is a damn good combination of that. I can say that this is probably my favorite season finale Death Battle has made, and funnily enough, this season has my favorite premiere too. This one was so close to making the list, guys. It kind of felt like they were trying to cap off the 10-year anniversary season with a massive flex of what they could produce, and while it was unexpected, I think it fully worked out in their favor. It's easy enough to talk about the rotation of animation styles and the progression, but the analyses also strike a balance of highlighting the ridiculousness and nuance of the storytelling. Even if you can tell where things are gonna go debate-wise, it's so great to sit back and enjoy these OP characters in a format they definitely weren't intended for. There are some big episodes that don't speak to me as much as most other people, but this is not one of those cases. It rocks super hard and does everything it needs to do in the right way. Stitch vs Rocket Raccoon is an episode that you all knew was gonna be on here. Now yes, it's here because it's my matchup. There are definitely 10 episodes that I think are better made than it. But at the end of the day, this episode was basically everything that I had wanted after waiting for so long. Of course I'm gonna love that they delivered on this weird ass matchup. The only thing I could knock against it is that I think they could have taken the emotional side of the matchup a little further, although that is a lot easier to balance with the light stuff in a movie or comic series than a 20-minute YouTube video. I don't mind that they made this a fun episode. They still understood these characters very well and knew what it needed to stand out appropriately for them. The fight is fun as hell, the track is so fitting for their musical sides that it's crazy, and I actually have zero issues with how they were analyzed. Not a production that belongs in Death Battle's Hall of Fame, but one that does a lot of justice to my favorite matchup ever. I am not going to force myself to not love something like that. I did not expect that much from Scooby-Doo vs. Courage, but yeah, it was pretty good, I guess you could say. Regardless of this list, Season 10 is undeniably packed with talent. Many episodes that everyone loves. This one was so close to making the list, guys. But even across all of that, this one is different somehow. It's still a death battle, but goes above and beyond with plot and how this situation would realistically come to be. This is my favorite Luis animation, period. Like Saitama vs. Popeye, it balances all the necessary elements so well, and the versus debating in the analyses never detracts from the essence of the characters. If nothing else, this episode proves to me that you don't need to be a combat-oriented character to work marvelously on the show. I don't know if a draw is the only way this fight could end, but whatever, man, I'll let them have one. Maybe it's my affinity for this style of cartoon, but seeing this done with this dedication and faithfulness just fills me with so much joy. If you actively dislike it, you're just being a hater. There's no reason you can't get something out of it. Goku vs Superman 3 was probably the episode where I had to eat my own words the most across my YouTube career. I made it clear that I did not see the point in revisiting this again, but wouldn't you know it, the point all along was to make it perfect. Whether you're looking at how they're analyzed, how they're portrayed, or just how they're described as characters, Goku and Superman get probably the best treatment out of any pairing thus far. The passion and belief in what they stand for is clear as day, and that's without factoring in the extra miles they go regarding the fight itself and what they include in it. And my favorite thing in the whole world is where they go so long in the conclusion and refuse to leave any stone unturned. It shows that while it is one-sided, there are so many cool things to bring up. I really respect Ben and the team for just wanting a version of this episode that does everything right, and even though I didn't want it, I know not to misplace my faith anymore. I do not mind being wrong at all if it means getting something like this out of it. And to top it all off, another no-brainer. Bowser vs Eggman ended up being the same as Goku Black vs Reverse Flash to me, a matchup I loved and wanted so much from, somehow surpassing the bar. The fact that this is an army battle, hand-drawn by one guy, and yet is still of this quality baffles me to no end. And it's not just the animation. Juggling so many moving parts at once can be really hard on the analysis writing, but both of those are also top tier. The level of detail found in every element of this video is simply astonishing. It's episodes like this where I can't understand when people say Death Battle doesn't give a shit about what they're doing. And even though I love this debate, who Death Battle would crown the winner was the last thing on my mind when it was coming up. Because I was about to witness possibly my favorite video game rivalry come to life, and I cannot imagine it having been any better. I love it as a Mario and Sonic fan, as a Death Battle fan, and this is probably what I'd use to get people into the show. That honestly might be the best praise I could give it. And alrighty, my fanboying is done. I am so sorry I didn't mention your favorite. The fact is, there are so many amazing episodes of this show, and so many more I would love to talk about if I had the time. And hell, who knows how this list could change with what's coming up in the future. But when I think about how much I love Death Battle, these right now are the 10 episodes that usually come to mind first. It's really as simple as that. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe if you haven't already. 10k subs is absolutely insane, and I cannot wait to continue this journey with you all. I hope you all have a great day, and peace out.